It wasn't the piles of paper or the random charging cables or the stray sock and candy wrapper under the coffee table. It was the feeling, that slow creeping weight in my chest when I tried to relax and couldn't. Because even though my life looks ordered on the outside, inside it sometimes feels stuffed and chaotic. It's like I'm visibly organized but privately underwhelmed. And that's when it hit me. Clear your space, clear your mind. I didn't need a home makeover. I needed motion. One desk, one shelf at a time, and suddenly I could breathe again. If your brain is buzzing, if your to-do list is spilling onto every flat surface, if you're managing it all but still feel unsettled, this episode is for you. I include declutter strategies for busy doctor moms and how a cluttered space might be saying more than you realize. Find the full transcript and bonus resources at inspiredmommds.com/71. Before we dive into the details, I want to name something out loud. Sometimes it's not a massive life overhaul that you need. It's not a perfect planner, a new habit stack, or another time management system. Sometimes you just need momentum, a clean coffee table. Let's talk about why tackling your physical environment might be the first step to calming your internal one. Because even when no one else sees it, that pile on the counter and the chair and the kitchen table, it weighs on you. So let's start there. Clutter carries a hidden mental toll, and there does come a tipping point when you say, "Gah!" That was my expression last Friday night. I couldn't focus on relaxing with my family when the clutter in my living room pushed me to a limit. So mid-sentence, I exclaimed, "This room is driving me nuts. Look at all the stuff." I pronounced, "This weekend is a decluttering weekend." And with that, a mini movement was born. We tackled little piles together with short bursts of energy, and as it progressed, our motivation increased. And by Sunday night, we had a new space. It felt like we had opened a window to a stuffy cottage and let in a cool breeze, and I could breathe again. And I admit, this is a cycle that's hard to change. Things will accumulate again, I know it, but I plan to set my tipping point lower. I want to spring into action sooner. I can prevent the unease from clutter, and so can you. But why do people tolerate this in the first place? This is an inner tug of war, especially for high-functioning women. They have an overflowing schedule and kids and the kids' friends streaming through their house, and clutter becomes a background static. It's much easier to ignore than to address. Choosing parenting and work over clutter management becomes a trade-off until your tipping point. And that's when you notice all of this visual noise, if you will. It is a stressor, both mentally and physically. Mentally, it interrupts your peace and distracts you from what matters, like my family last night. And biologically, it's a stressor too. The Society for Personality and Social Psychology published a paper that found intriguing links between how women described their homes and their cortisol levels and mood levels, which of course may have a lasting effect on well-being. Those who feel their home is restful or maybe incorporate nature had a more stable cortisol and mood compared to those who felt stress over things like holes in the wall they haven't fixed yet or piles of stuff. So that constant background stress is not just in your head, it's in your home. So let's break it down. I categorize clutter into 3 types. And each one has its own emotional weight and message. And once you know what you're dealing with, it's easier to take back control. The first type is sentimental clutter. Those are the things that carry memory and meaning. And this one is tender. It's a scribbled Mother's Day card from my kids from 7 years ago. It's the school report cards I have, or it's this little llama figurine I picked up from South America. Or it's a gift from my college friend that I sort of like, but it's all I have left from her, so I keep it. Sentimental clutter carries an emotional weight. Throwing it out or giving it away asks you to let go of a version of yourself that's not easy. Not long ago, I gathered up a stack of unread anesthesiology journals, and I think that represented who I used to be when I was young and I was a hungry doctor and I still had something to prove. I finally recycled those. Maybe you have a picture your kid drew 5 years ago on your fridge. I think I do. That art might just be an anchor to a phase of motherhood where you were needed daily and hourly, every minute. So decluttering doesn't just mean tossing stuff. It means reckoning with change in life. And that takes more courage than most people admit. Now, the second type is functional clutter. Those are things that should have a home but don't. These include piles of mail, phone chargers, unopened bottles of supplements. They all belong somewhere. They just don't have a landing place. So they float from the table to the counter to the drawer to the cabinets. These items usually reflect a system that needs a refreshment rather than habits that need more discipline. If the items have a clearly defined home, like a mail basket or an electronics bin or a supplements shelf, they won't move about the house. It'll be easier to put them in their place from the start. And the third type is neglected clutter. Well, this is where I know where it goes, but I'm just too tired to move it. This is the silent killer of peace. You aren't confused or disorganized. You're just depleted. You walk past it 10 times a day, and each time it registers, but you don't act on it. This one really bothers me the most. It isn't because I don't care, it's because my bandwidth is gone. And that is a red flag. The clutter becomes a mirror for how overextended you are. So it's time to regain control. And decluttering is a form of micro-control, and it's worth the effort. There are benefits of living and working in a tidier space. And you don't always realize what the clutter is costing you until you remove it, which is how I feel this week when I look at my clean kitchen table. An orderly space has a positive impact on your well-being by offering several things. One is fresh mental clarity. When your mind isn't scanning all the things you need to do and pick up, you free mental space for what matters, and that brings clarity when you clear up that mental fog. It offers visual calm. As the Society for Personality and Social Psychology showed, our nervous system responds to what we see in our living spaces, and a busy space can feel like 1,000 tiny alerts going off at once. But when you rest your eyes on an open desk or an empty corner, that's a soft place for your mind to land, and you start to breathe deeper into those places that used to hold tension. A clean space offers less distraction and better focus. Clutter competes for your attention, like a needy toddler. When you're looking for your keys, isn't it better to see them on the desk than to have to root through a pile of paper? Finally, a sense of pride and accomplishment come with a clean space. This week, everyone in my family is making comments about how clean and tidy our space looks. And we say that with a sense of pride because we did this. We are capable of change. We're not annoyed anymore by the toppling pile of shoes at the back door. And don't get me wrong, our house isn't ready for a magazine photo shoot, but we have a home that is peaceful. And this might be the most underrated benefit, peace. So what can you do this week to get started? Start somewhere, anywhere, because action begets change. It's rarely the other way around. I invite you to take a simple step. Declutter as a busy doctor mom and create space for calm and clarity. Here are some steps you can take. Pick one clutter zone, like the bathroom counter, the nightstand, the front hall. You just need a small win. A 5-minute act to declutter for a busy doctor mom can be the nudge towards mental calm. So set a timer on your watch or phone for 5 minutes. That's it. No pressure to finish either. Just do what you can. And finally, enlist help from someone to make it more fun and less overwhelming if you need to. We did this all weekend, but I found another technique too I want to mention, and I think it helps. I have a small basket of odds and ends by my bathroom sink, and it was just overflowing. So I decided to pull it out and set it right at the edge of the counter, so it's kind of in the way every time I wash my hands. So now every time I walk past or wash my hands, I challenge myself to remove 1 or 2 items and just deal with them, find their place and put them there. And it was almost empty after a full day. And that's kind of exciting. And yes, I am celebrating this itty bitty win. So let's land here. Decluttering is about the invisible load that we carry, the mental tabs that never close, the tug of war between wanting peace and having no time to create it. If your space feels like it mirrors your mind, visibly a little unorganized and privately overwhelmed, you're not alone. You're just a doctor mom doing her best in a loud, demanding world, and sometimes the gentlest way back to yourself is through your space. So take the win this week with one zone, just 5 minutes, and one breath of clarity in the chaos. If this episode lands for you, if you saw yourself in these words, share it with another mom who might be silently overwhelmed too. We heal in community, and you, my friend, are allowed to start just where you are. Don't forget to join me next week for another dose of support and inspiration. Until then, take care of yourselves and take care of those who matter most. It's time to take control and thrive. And just a quick reminder, this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and isn't a substitute for medical advice or care. I'm a board-certified physician, but this content isn't connected to my clinical practice and no doctor-patient relationship is formed here. Please always talk to your own health professional about any mental or physical health concerns. Please see inspiredmommds.com for full disclaimer.